Welcome into College Corner for week 11 of the college football season. Only a few regular season weeks left. I got my 4 favorite plays for the upcoming week in college football, including one for Penn State and Michigan. Been a great season so far. We're 79, 55, and 1, hitting at almost 60%, up nearly 15 units. Last week, 2-2. But overall in the week, a much better finish. So be sure you follow me on Twitter. I will include that link in the description. Again, I have way more plays than the 4 that I'm going to share with you guys. So be sure to follow me there. Again, that link to follow me will be down below. It's just my full name, Tyler McKillop on Twitter. Let's get into my favorite plays for this week. First up, had to make sure we get this game in. Michigan, Penn State, and I've got a play that I love. Colston Loveland, over 32.5 receiving yards. Played this actually when I went to go see Michigan play Indiana at the Big House. Excited to get back to it because since that game, he has been cooking. He's gone over this number in 3 straight games. Shout out to props.cash for sponsoring today's video. All this information comes from them. A great tool to help you bet on player props in college football, NFL, NBA, you name it, they have it. If you use promo code OwnersBox, you're going to get 25% off your first month over there. So go check them out. An awesome tool. The link will be down below in the description. Check them out, and they're going to be helping us with all of our player props this season. So over in 3 straight games, which is excellent. And they get this Penn State defense. This is where we dive in a little bit deeper into this matchup, which I'm really excited about. Penn State's defense, coached by Manny Diaz, the DC, loves to blitz. He's blitzing at a really high rate. Over 50% of plays he's blitzing opponents. And it does not matter who they're playing, they're blitzing. Ohio State, or they're playing, let's say, a Bowling Green, they're still going to be blitzing you. And they will do that here against this Michigan team. But when I was diving into the information here from Michigan and how they've done against the blitz, teams that have blitzed Michigan on over 40% of plays have seen Loveland go over this number of 32.5 in 4 of those 5 games. So that is very good to see. And then as well, his target rate has jumped from, on a game or down-to-down basis when he's on the field, his target rate on his routes run is right around 23%. But when teams blitz, it's actually up towards over 30%. And he actually leads the team in receptions and he leads the team in yards when they're blitz. So this is J.J. McCarthy's go-to guy when he does see the blitz. And Penn State, man, this defense is really good. I know a lot of people talking about how paltry the offense has been with, Drew Aller not having a lot of weapons to be able to get the ball to. And their rushing game kind of being pretty underwhelming as well this season. But defensively, elite. One of the best in the country. They're the number 1 run defense in my mind in the entire country. They're giving up just 3.4 yards per carry, which is first. They're 3rd in EPA against the run. And when you're blitzing, you tend to be stacking the box as well. So it makes running the football pretty tough. I think Michigan will lead on J.J. McCarthy and his arm in this game. So that's going to lead to a lot of these receivers having opportunities. And looking at McCarthy and his his passing yards in this game, it's set at 240.5. And the reason for that is because McCarthy has dominated when blitzed this year. These numbers are so good. 71.4% completion percentage, which is 4th. 11.9 yards per attempt, which is also 4th. So I think this Michigan offense could find success. I'm not quite there taking them as, a 4.5-point favorite on the road at Penn State, but I do like them in this game, and I'm going to lean more on the passing game finding success as opposed to the run game since Penn State's been so good against the run. So I like Loveland over 32.5 receiving yards. Now let's go to a game you probably won't be watching at 2 o'clock. You'll be watching that Penn State-Michigan game, but if you can get a second, a third TV, maybe throw this game on because I think it will be fun. App State, Georgia State, going to the over 60.5 points. So a number here that I'm very comfortable with clearing. Georgia State is an offense that likes to run the football quite a bit, running at one of the higher rates in the country, 57% of plays, which is 27th. They had Darren Granger, the dual threat quarterback, to help them be able to run the ball both with their backs and with him as well. And App State, absolutely awful against the run. They're actually dead last in opponent yards per carry, 6.3 yards per carry they're giving up. They rank 128th in opponent EPA per rush. That's, again, 5th last in the country. So Georgia State, I think, whether it's the backs, whether it's Granger, they'll be able to run the ball super effectively. On the other side with App State, pretty balanced attack, but Joey Aguilar in the passing game have been the thing that stuck out and have been the highlight so far this season. Completing almost 64% of his passes, 8.3 yards per attempt. That's 32nd in the country. They're moving the ball through the air really well. And Georgia State, a team that I have faded before and found success with other passing offenses. Georgia Southern, who they got crushed by a couple weeks ago, had Georgia Southern there. And this is because of a Georgia State team that just cannot stop the pass. 120th opponent EPA per pass and 100 109th in opponent yards per attempt in the air, 8.1 yards per attempt. So I think running the ball, Georgia State finds success. I think throwing the ball, App State finds success. And both of these teams are playing pretty fast as well. Georgia State is 32nd in seconds per play, App State 57th. So definitely both well above the league or the country's average. So I think this game will be fast. I think these teams will move down the ball pretty effortlessly. I think this goes over the number pretty handedly, maybe gets into the 70s here with these two teams. Another one of the bigger games on the slate, I'm taking Tennessee minus 1.5 on the road at Mizzou. Surprisingly, I'm going to be saying this. I just trust the Tennessee defense a lot more. Not something I'd expect to say for a Josh Heupel coach team, but the defense has been really good. Just to give you an idea here, they're 30th in EPA against the pass, 11th in EPA against the run, and their pass rush has been fantastic this season too. James Pierce has 7 sacks on the year, so I can trust this defense. I know Mizzou's been moving the ball in the air moving the ball offensively really well with Brady Cook, Luther Burden. I know it's a good offense, but I think Tennessee can do enough here on the road to stop them. But what really sticks out to me is I like what the Vols can do on the offensive side of the ball just as much. They like to rely on their running game with Jabari Small and Jalen Wright. They're not asking as much from Joe Milton as they asked from Hendon Hooker last season. They're actually running the ball on over 55% of plays, which is top 30 in the country. And my concern here for Mizzou is the run defense has not been good enough. Georgia's been struggling to run the ball this year. I thought Georgia ran it pretty effectively on them last week. They're now 95th in EPA against the run, giving up 4.7 yards per carry. So I like what Tennessee can do on the ground. And the strength of this Missouri defense is their pass rush. It's about as good as Tennessee's is, honestly. Led by Darius Robinson, who has 5.5 sacks on the year. So on the season, they're 16th in sack rate, 12th in pressure rate. They can get after you. But what I like about Tennessee is they can protect really well. Even though they've had some losses on the offensive line through the NFL draft last year, the O-line ranks 20th in pressure rate allowed this season, so they can protect well. And Milton and you look at some of these big games that they played against other tantalizing pass rushes. Let's take Texas A&M, for example. They have one of the highest sack rates in the country. Milton was pressured at a below 30% rate, which is great. Alabama as well, pressured at a below 30% rate. So I think they do enough here to limit the pass rush when they do have to drop back, but they run the ball effectively on Mizzou's defense to be able to score, and the defense does enough to give them this win. So give me them as a short favorite here on the road in the SEC. Our last one, late night, 10 o'clock, Pac-12 after dark. Nothing better than that. We've got Oregon and USC, and I love Bucky Irving over 93.5 rushing yards. Played him earlier this year in that matchup with Washington, treated us well going over that number. But he actually hasn't cleared this number that they have it listed for on Saturday night since that game. And he's only gone over this number in 3 of 9 starts this year. Again, the data coming from props.cash. But what we want to look at is the opportunities. So looking at the opportunities here, again, this comes from props.cash. He's gotten 13.2 touches or carries per game this season, but in his last 5 in particular, he's gotten 16.4. So some good volume here. And that big game that sticks out is that Washington game. And I think this is going to be a very similar game plan from the Ducks as it was against Washington. It's play pretty slow and methodical offensively, move the ball down the field on the ground, and keep it away from the opposing offense. Keep the ball out of Caleb Williams' hands. And I think a lot of that comes down to giving Bucky Irving the ball, because USC, this defense continues to be an absolute dumpster fire. They fire Alex Grinch. Do we get a change in how this team performs? Potentially, maybe. Maybe we get a bit of a different performance from this defense, but ultimately, I don't think much can be turned around during this season. We're more going to look ahead to 2024. 116th in broken tackle rate. This defense just cannot tackle. They're giving up 5.6 yards per carry and over 200 rushing yards per game on the season. That has them 115th in EPA against the run. So I think Oregon, obviously a huge favorite in this game, 15 points. I was very surprised to see that. I kind of like USC to cover. It's going to be hard to be able to stop their offense from at least backdooring this number, but winning by this much will be tough. But regardless, I think they have this game handled. Bucky Irving's going to get significant volume here. I think he'll get around what his average has been the last 5 games, which is that 16. Could be even closer to 20. And if he gets that, he'll average 5 yards a carry, no problem here, and get over this number with ease. Okay, those are my 4 favorite plays for Week 11 in college football. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, if you got any value out of today's video, if I've helped you make some money this season, would really, really appreciate if you hit that like button for me and subscribe to the channel if you're new to let me know that we should keep getting this content out to you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.